Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking with Tony. As you can tell, Tony is not anywhere to be seen today. So he's pulled in a couple of panelists today to fill in for him. I think he said it was the first time in about 15 years that he hasn't hosted his own show. And I'm extremely honored to be fill-in host for him today. I'm Danny Arp. I'm one of the football panelists here, probably the lead panelist on the group. And I'm joined by Kevin White. Kevin's also one of our panelist members, and obviously the show is being produced by Jake Barton, as always, keeping us straight. So, Kevin, how you doing today, man?
We're doing great, bud. Looking forward to a good weekend of football.
Well, I think we've got the Georgia decorations covered with our backgrounds. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we did that on purpose just because of Stormy's social media comment.
Yeah, he's gonna learn one day. If he comments, he's gonna get what he asked for when he does it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I think you look at the panel, you look how we're doing. Everybody's been doing pretty solidly with our picks, a little up and downs. Some people doing great with their 5 stars, some people doing great with their records, and not so good with 5 stars, aka me. But we got another big weekend of football coming up, and one of the biggest weekends for two guys like me and you. We got Georgia, Florida coming up this weekend. Um,
I'm looking forward to it. A little nervous. I mean, I don't know why. I guess it's just been the dogs waiting until you know second half to actually come alive and play. And we know how this goes down in Jacksonville. It's a momentum game. And so if you let Florida's crowd get all into it, it's hard to regain momentum. You
oh,
know,
absolutely.
I mean, I trust in Kirby and staff, that they're going to get it done again. But, I read somewhere earlier today that they were saying that if history proves anything, that this game won't be close, you
Yeah,
know, because there's only been a handful that have been decided by one score or less.
yeah,
Um,
pretty interesting. Yeah.
and most of them are typically, at least multiple score wins. I was digging through that history. You were talking the other day about the one where Spurrier put up the 50 points, almost the first one to do it in Sanford Stadium.
Yeah.
And I found another little tidbit. The largest margin of victory in this matchup was Georgia beat them 75-0. And
1942, right?
yeah, yeah. So Spurrier can take that and put it in his pipe and smoke it.
Well, since you brought it up, I guess we could go through some of our favorite Georgia, Florida moments, or not so favorite. For those of y'all that may not know, Kevin and I both got the opportunity to spend a lot of time together. We were in Athens together at the same time. And our coach, when we were there then, was not quite as good as the one we have now. We had Ray Goff over there as our coach, and it was not a pleasurable experience for Georgia fans for the Georgia Florida weekend while we were in Athens, right?
No, it
It
was
was always, you heard everybody going, hey, we're headed down, going to St. Simon's, Jekyll Island, and all, Jacksonville. And, I never would go, man, because I'm more into the football, more, not that we didn't enjoy ourselves in Athens a little bit, but I'm more into the football, than just going down there and partying. I wanted to win the game, and I just couldn't take the loss.
Yeah, well, that's what, I went once while we were together in Athens, and that was I can't even remember his name, but he lived across the hall from you in Russell, and ended up mate, and he was from Jacksonville. So I went
Yeah.
down with him and his girlfriend and all them, and pouring rain, and we got our brains beat in. It was not a good time for me.
No. Well, I think some of the best with games are that, we're going to look at it from the Georgia side. I don't really care about all the Florida stuff. I don't know why we're not going to bring that crap up today. But, from the Georgia side of things, if you look back, 1966 really was what set the standard for, us when we were there, because by then, 1966, Florida quarterback was Steve Spurrier. Spurrier is going for his Heisman campaign, which he did win it. He was also wanting to win the national championship, but he ran across a little bulldozer in those Bulldogs in that year when he went down there. They were the favorite. And again, to your point, makes us nervous about us going down this weekend, right? Because you never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
On paper, no reason, that Georgia should have won that game. But we came in, Spurrier, you know, had a lot of, he didn't have his best game. He still had a pretty good game, but Georgia wound up beating him 27-10, and then scored with just a few minutes left to rub it in. So it's 20 to 10. We rubbed it in on Spurrier after he made an interception, and he took that personally.
Yeah, but I think you had spoke a little bit about it that Kirby's got some personal feelings in this thing too.
Yeah, definitely Kirby's got some feelings. So you brought it up. So we had the 1966 big pivotal game. Spurrier goes on to be the Florida coach for 12 years. He goes 11-1 against the Dogs, man. And he didn't mind running up the score. So to your point, 1995, 95, 96, they didn't play in Jacksonville because they were doing renovations to the stadium and they played a home. So at home in Sanford Stadium, Spurrier just running it up, and there was a minute and 40 left. He calls a flea flicker, halfback, throws it back to the quarterback, and throws the bomb and scores. Now, who do you think was in there in the scrub duty in the fourth quarter and that cornerback that got burned?
Yeah, that was Kirby. That's what
Kirby Smart, man. Number 16, Kirby Smart.
he didn't like that too much himself.
No,
Yeah,
took it personally, and then in 96 got beaten to death too, so it was, I think it was 95, 96. It was either 94, 95, 95, 96. But either way, they won both of them big. We got the Run Lindsey Run 1980 game.
absolutely. We had no business winning that game either backed up on our own five, and that miracle play, throwing that 15, 20-yard pass over the middle to Lindsey Scott and him turning around and outrunning their entire defense and Munson breaking his chair. I mean, that was just a great outcome, but that's kind of the way it's gone. And I was looking through a lot of this history stuff. And so for the most part, Georgia was the one that would ruin Florida's season,
Yeah,
and they've done it to us a couple of times, but for the most part throughout history, it was Georgia ruining Florida's chances.
yeah,
And so you talked about that during our time, we had Ray Goff, not the greatest coach on the planet. Well, Spurrier had a lot of success against a mediocre coach, right? But
yeah,
what he would have done against a big dog. So it's our
yeah.
time to give it back to him.
Absolutely. I mean, to your point, it wasn't the best run of coaches. I mean, Donham was okay after golf, and then of course we got Mark Richt, and he didn't really break the curse. He broke the curse on a lot of our rivals, but he didn't really break the Florida curse. He had the 2007 TD celebration. Everybody remembers that. We got No Shine goes over the middle, then we all rushed the field, and we paid for that with the referees for a long time after us doing that.
Yes, we did. And I think I liked it though. That was a good punch at Urban Meyer.
That was awesome, man. That was awesome. All right, so that was some of the best, I'd say the best. But to bring up and back your point up, I think Kirby has taken it personally. He lost the first game to old McElwain, like I told you. Big smiling Jim McElwain. He did lose that game, which was just unbelievable. But he won 7 of the last 8, and he's got 4 in a row now. So we'll get a little more into that when we make the picks coming up. You ready to get into a little football here?
Sure, man. Let's
All
go.
right, let's do it. All right, so like we said, we got a nice slate of college games, and then we got 4 pro games we're going to go over. And I'll give you, let you get the floor, do most of the analysis, and make the picks. I do have some. Tony has made 4 picks that I'll reveal to everybody as well. And I'm going to roll. I'm going to reveal everybody's 5-star and during the picks, but then we'll just let Jake roll everybody's picks at the end. I won't go through everybody's besides mine and yours. All right. So we got Penn State just coming off firing the coach a few weeks ago, going to play the number 1 team, and they're a 20.5 point underdog in this game. So how do you see it, Kevin?
But I mean, this one, Penn State's a dumpster fire right now. They are. I messed up earlier saying that I thought they were the only team in the country that looked like they could beat Ohio State early on.
Yes.
They proved that wrong. That was they have not been good. I realize it's a rivalry game, but they're at the shoe. You know, and we've seen it on a couple of so far coaches getting fired out at UCLA. That interim coach lighting a fire under them, getting them pumped up, and then they kind of deflated again last week. And I just don't know that Penn State's got what it takes on either side of the ball to do that with Ohio State. So I'm going with AJ's Buckeyes here in
All right.
20.
Good pick. Now, Tony didn't have a pick in this one. We all know he's going to, we know who he's pulling for, but he didn't have a pick in the game. Um, I agree with you in theory, but I am gonna go opposite of you here, and I do think that I'm gonna try to ride the interim head coach. I'm hoping they can keep it close. I mean, that's a lot of points, man. I
It is.
mean, you're talking about a 3 touchdown win. That's gonna be pouring salt on the wound if they come out and do that to them.
Oh,
And I know it's a big rivalry, so
they'll love to do that to them.
a couple of members of the panel are with you. You got John with you, Stormy's with you, and then Fred is with me with Penn State.
I got you. I
And
got you.
nobody's messing with this one on their 5 stars.
Well, that's a lot of points, but if you look at it, Ohio State's 6-1 versus the spread, and I think close to the opposite for Penn State coverage, right?
Absolutely. That's a
So
good little nugget there for everybody. 6-1's pretty solid. Tough to go against that, but I'm gonna stick with my pick. All right. Also at noon, we got the darlings of college football this year, and then the beginnings of darling. The Texas started off are going to be all that with the best quarterback that ever walked on a college football field, and the Manning kid. But Texas does find themselves the home favorite -3 against Vandy. So how do you see this one, Kevin?
yeah, I mean this one, I felt pretty confident when I set my picks in, and now we're doing this show. I'm kind of wavered on it. I went with Texas -3 just for the home field advantage. But now that greatest quarterback on ever walked the earth is in concussion protocol, I mean, I as a Bulldog, Vandy was one of those teams we always played. It's kind of crazy that we hadn't the past few years. And I'm liking what I see out of Vandy. They're playing good defense. Pavia is just a dog.
Yeah,
I mean, I like him a lot. I just feel like the home field advantage and the playmakers and the athletes that Texas has, just the recruiting power and the depth that they have, gives them that 3-point advantage. So that's why I chose Texas. And it could be one of these things that they're slow playing it. You're supposed to know by 7, 8 o'clock tonight, something like that Wednesday report, whether what is going to be the update. I don't know that they'll change it. They're like game time or whatever decision, but I think they may be slow playing it a little bit, and Arch might just step out there.
yeah. Well, I think that it looks like the panel is with you except for Fred. He's +3, taking Vanderbilt into points. I'm with you on Texas -3, sort of for the same reason, home field.
Mm.
Um, and again, I don't know if Manning. It's not like Manning's been setting the world on fire anyway, and Tennessee's still been managed to hang around a little bit. I mean, Texas has been managed to hang around. So I'm going to take Texas -3 as well with you. Um, and this could be the week that the Vandy dream season comes to an end. But if they get past this one, man, I think they're pretty solidly a playoff team, man.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah, they get past this one and win out, and then it's them and A&M in the SEC championship. Leaves
Wow,
Bama to the side. You know,
that's
um,
crazy to think about.
it is. I don't see it happening, but
I don't know. Well, that's what everybody keeps saying, and week after week they prove us wrong. So we will see. All right, we got another noon big game. We got Miami -10 at SMU. SMU just coming off that loss, sort of shocking there. But Tony does have a pick in this one, and he's got Miami -10. How do you see it?
I agree with Tony on this one. I picked SMU last week against Wake Forest, and they lost by a point. You know, I thought they were looking good up until that point. The other folks they had played, and um, and then they let me down. And so, this is another one. I feel like Miami will go on the road. I think they just got a better defense, and then it's all in question of which Carson Beck shows up. The one that throws 3, 4 picks a game, or the guy that lights you up, right? And
Yeah,
I think I think he had his bad game, and he may turn the ball over once, but I don't see him a 3, 4 turnover game again. You know,
yeah, I'm with you, and I think that it's a good pick. I'm also on Miami -10. We got Fred on Miami. We got Stormy +10 taking SMU, and then John's 5-star pick is SMU +10, Kevin.
I,
And just so we can run through it real quick, Tony is 7-2 in his 5 stars. I'm 3-6. I'm leading the panel in picks. I'm solid 7, 8 games, but I think I'm 7 games above 500, but 3-6 in my 5 stars. John 6-3. Fred is 4-5. Stormy is 6-3 in his 5 stars. We'll get to his later. And then Kevin, you are 4-5.
yeah.
So we got the leader in 5 stars with John taking SMU. So we'll see. All right, next one is the big game. 3:30 is Georgia -8 versus Florida. No pick from Tony. We've already done a little analysis. How do you see it, man?
I don't care how many times you write this down on our pick sheet. I will never, ever, ever pick against the dogs, ever. Right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
just ink that I'm not going to put on. You
Yeah.
know.
I'm with you. Look, it's better to take the L in your stats than it is to take an L on the field, right?
That's right. I don't care if we beat them by 3. I'm still
Yeah.
going to pick Georgia in the points.
Well,
Right?
everybody on the panel except for Fred is with us on Georgia -8. I agree. I think Georgia's just going to overpower them on defense. They're going to have an interim coach. Hopefully, they don't get a little bump out of that. But I just feel like Gunner's playing really well. He's starting to come into his own. He's starting to settle in the pocket. He's making some throws. Looks like he's been working on his layering throws over the middle a little bit as well. Bobo, in my mind, has been, man, he's been in his playbook the last few games, and everybody's got to get off the Bobo criticism, man.
I, Bobo's always been good.
Yeah,
Been in the Mark Rick days, he was good at play calling and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that I would say about Bobo that kind of gets under my nails a little bit sometimes is I feel like that we're a little predictable, right?
yeah,
And these past couple of weeks hasn't been the case. Especially against Ole Miss, he pulled some stuff out of the deep off the card.
yeah.
And I like to see that. I did read somewhere it was talking about, or I heard an interview with Kirby talking about this interim coach, and then I read that what's his name, Gonzalez, he reached out to Urban Meyer for advice, right?
Oh,
Yeah, and then I heard from Kirby saying that they had an off week just like we did, but there's only so much you can do in preparation for this game that interim coach isn't going to be able to change the entire offense, right? He could
yeah,
maybe put a few wrinkles in here or there, but they're still going to be Florida, right?
yeah,
And so I think Kirby and staff prepare for them based off everything that they've seen thus far. And if we can get our corners and safeties to play ball before the second half, I think we do handle them.
yeah.
Just like history's shown, it'd be a multi-score game. You know,
Okay. Well, this is Stormy, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket representative of the panel's 5-star pick. And again, I started talk about analysis. I started doing some analysis. That's why Stormy's 6-3 in his 5 stars. He keeps picking Georgia as
oh
his
yeah,
5-star pick. So odd from a tech guy, but I guess he's got to put his mouth where the money's at, right? All right, let's keep moving on. We got Purdue at Michigan, -21 for Purdue. This is a 7 o'clock game now. This is a big time rematch. They got a big time rivalry as well, but this one, Tony was talking to me about the 1980 match game between Purdue and Michigan. Purdue went in there number 11, Michigan number 16. Uh, Purdue with a great quarterback named Mark Herman, spelled Herrman. He was a two-time Heisman candidate, Kevin, and he was finalist one of those years, and he was really running a high-powered offense. And unfortunately for him, went in there in 1980, turned out as his worst game of his career. Pulled a back, threw three or four interceptions, and then Purdue wound up losing 26-0. And maybe Jake pulled a little highlights of that. Poor old Herman just he couldn't get it through there, but he was a great quarterback. Purdue really was QBU for a while, man. They had Drew Brees. They had a lot of good quarterbacks come through there, and Herman was one of them. So I myself am taking Purdue plus 21. Tony is with me, Purdue plus 21. How do you see it, Kid?
But you know, it's hard. This is hard for me. I mean, it's hard for me to pick within this Big Ten when you only got a couple of teams right there that are really any kind of football team this year. They're kind of
Yeah.
down. Big Ten is, and somehow or another, Michigan has hung around and stayed in the top and made it back into the top 25. You know, Home field advantage against Purdue, and I feel like their run game. They got some really good running backs. I mean, I think they will dominate this game. At
Okay.
home. 21's a lot. I mean, I hate these big point spreads, but I'm going with the home team. You
All
know,
right. Good pick. Three. We got two other members of the panel with you, Stormy and Fred, and then John is he's on Purdue with me and Tony. All right. Oklahoma at Tennessee. Tennessee -3.5. This should be a fun matchup right here. You don't see this game a lot. How do you see the Tennessee Oklahoma game?
I see it as, in the words of Louis Gazard, two mules fighting over a turnip. Right. um,
Now, before we start, okay, before we start this, y'all know where I went to school. You know where my allegiance is. I'm Bulldog born, I'm Bulldog bred, and when I die, I'll be by God Bulldog dead, okay? You know that. So let's just start with that, okay? I was sports of the Chicago Sun-Times one time, and I could go anywhere to any ball game in the world, get in free. And one day I decided I'd go over and see the Ohio State-Michigan game, big rivalry up in there. And I went to it. I was not impressed. It reminded me of two mules fighting over a turnip. I mean, who cares?
and there again, I would lean more towards the home team here. Oklahoma, Mateer, he's a good quarterback, and he's a dual threat quarterback. But I just think Tennessee's got more playmakers. And old and their coach, I call him Bobby Hill. Bobby Hill,
Yeah.
he'll pull out his playbook too and try to zip it around with Aguilar. So I take Tennessee at home with this one.
I like it. I like it. Everybody in the panel's with you except for Stormy's got Oklahoma plus the points. All right, Southern Cal coming in at -6.5 to Nebraska. Tony's got a pick in this one. I'll reveal that after you make yours. What do you got on the Southern Cal Nebraska game?
I went with USC on this one. I mean, there again, I just feel like they're going to out athlete Nebraska. Nebraska has been kind of mediocre this year at best.
Okay.
And UCLA's had some pretty strong outings. And it's not full on across the country, and it being a later game, it kind of eliminates that early game aspect of the West Coast team.
Okay. Well, you got John, Fred, and Stormy with you. Tony has gone with Nebraska plus 6.5, and so have I. And one reason I did that is the temperature in Southern California never gets below about 68. And by kickoff, it's going to be 45. And then by second half, we're looking at about 39 degrees. So we will see how it plays out. The trend in the big, which is big now, obviously covering coast, center of the U.S. to the coast. Um, the trend has been the traveling team has had a tough time. So we will see how that plays out. All right, well, that wraps up our college slate. Let's move into some pro ball. We got the 49ers minus 2.5 at the Giants. No pick from Tony. What do you got on this one?
I went with the 49ers here on the road, favored. And really and truly, the only reason that I did so because the 49ers are banged up. They got some injuries across the board. But I think you'll see a lot of Christian, not McCaffrey. You'll see a lot of them moving the ball around, and then Scatabo going down with his injury.
Yeah.
That's going to put a little bit more pressure on Dart, and it only being 2.5 points. I think the 49ers can handle that. They should be able to win by a field goal.
It's a good pick. Everybody but me is with you on that. I'm with the Giants plus 2.5. So we'll go with that. All right, let's go with the Falcons, the poor old Falcons, man.
Yeah,
Made fun of them last week, and it came to fruition. We got Falcons at the Patriots, Patriots minus 5.5. So we got a couple of 5 stars on this one. What do you got?
that is my 5 star.
All right.
That's and I went with the Patriots at home minus 5.5. AJ likes to talk about how much I love the Falcons and all that, and I think that was just an inherited love.
Yeah.
It was kind of taught to me growing up, and it was one of those things, kind of how we lived through some bad years with the Dogs. I mean, I've lived through my whole life of bad years with the Falcons, and so I was riding them high. I felt like that they had something this year, and they just can't get it done. They find a way. And the reason being is like you remember I forget what year it was, the Super Bowl. We're ahead,
Yeah.
at halftime handedly, and they found a way to lose that game, to
the Patriots.
And so I mean, I just feel like the Patriots, they've kind of found themselves right now. NFL, anybody can beat anybody, but there again, it's like, I could miss this one. I haven't been the greatest with my 5 stars, but I can't go with the Falcons. I'm like you. I'm just going to have to put an X over them every time from here on out,
Yep. Well, we all know I'm fading them. So I got the Patriots. The whole panel's on the Patriots, and this also is my 5-star pick for the week is the Patriots minus 5.5. All right, let's keep trucking. Chiefs minus 1 at the Bills. Chiefs starting to play, come alive a little bit. Tony did make a pick, and Tony's 5-star pick for the week is the Chiefs minus 1. I see you got the Chiefs as well, Kevin. What do you think?
Yeah, I went with the Chiefs on the road as well, and simply, it's almost like that Alabama effect in Tuscaloosa, right? It seems like if you breathe hard on Mahomes, you get flags, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, they're both playing really good right now. I mean, I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I like our boy, our dog up there running the ball.
Cook.
Cook, James Cook's doing really well. I like them a lot, but it's just hard to pick against those Chiefs. They find a way to win,
Yeah, I agree. I did. You got the Chiefs. Tony's got the Chiefs, and then me and the rest of the panel all going with the Bills. So we'll see how that turns out. And then our last pick for the pros is the 8 o'clock, 8:20 game. We got the Seahawks minus 3 at the Redskins.
Yeah, that's I went with the Seahawks here on the road, favored by 3. Kind of depends, it could go the other way if Jaden Daniels is able to get back on the field. This past week, Mariota showed he could handle it. They played really good football and then came out on the bottom of that matchup. They looked like they had a real shot at winning that game last week. Um, but I just feel like the Seahawks, Darnold's playing his tail off right now, and they just got some weapons and their defense plays really, really well. So I went with the Hawks.
I like it. I think it's a good pick. I went -3 with the Seahawks as well. I think the way they're playing right now is gonna really transition, keep them going towards the end of the year just to finish strong. And I like it. Everybody from the panel is with us except for John. John is taking the Redskins +3. So
Mm.
again, really, really good slate of football this weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it's really been a great season to watch, and with the NIL and everything that's going on, a lot of parity in football in college. It's been a great season to watch so far. A lot of surprise teams here or there, but I think we're making the final run and getting close to that playoff time, and it's going to be a great season into the season here. I'm going to hit everybody's 5 stars real quick, just so we know we got them. Tony's 5 star this week is the Chiefs -1. I am going with the Patriots -5.5. John, just to remind you, who is 6-3 in his 5 stars. 6-3 is outstanding. He is going SMU +10. Fred, 4-5 with his 5 stars. He's taking the 49ers -2.5 as his 5 star. Stormy is 6-3 with the 5 stars. He goes with his old faithful, the Georgia Bulldogs -8. And Kevin, you 4-5 with your 5 stars, and you're with me on the Patriots. So looks like a good slate of football, and I think some really good picks, and I'm excited about it.
So you think Stormy does that just to try to pad his stats right there on the 5 star picks,
That's
or
what he's doing. I mean, he
Hank,
sells it to us.
Hank on us?
Yeah, well, he sells it to us, that he's jinxing us, right? I mean, he wants to give up a pick to try to jinx us, and that's why he even put the 5 star on it this week to try to make it even more of a jinx. But
That's
he's really just trying to pad his stats, man.
that's right. Well,
We
I
were
mean,
talking earlier about Stormy's team, though, Georgia Tech, man. I mean, they're not on our slate here, but they're having a really good season, and we got a big game coming up with them later.
yeah, we do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Be neutral or somewhat neutral site being the Benz, Mercedes-Benz Stadium instead of Bobby Dodd, so that they can have a bigger crowd, I believe. But I
Yeah.
think they'll find out there'll be just as many Bulldogs there, you know.
I,
If it's anything like the game last year, it ought to be an exciting one.
Dude, I don't know if I can survive another game like that one last year. That Haynes King just about killed me with all he would not he wouldn't go away, man. He was like Rocky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we beat him up, beat him up, beat him up. He kept getting up and coming back, and I mean, I felt ecstatic that we came out with that one with the win.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
crazy.
now there has been a rule change this year, and I think
What
it
is
was
that?
due to that game. It's like in the overtime periods now, you only get one timeout, regardless of how many overtimes it goes to, right? Where I think a lot of that last year, Kirby's letting them line up, and then he'd call a timeout, and it uses timeout in that period, and then he would adjust the defense.
Yeah.
So I think that played a role in our win.
Well, I think that, going to Mercedes-Benz, they don't like our record that we have at Bobby Dodd Stadium. We've won a lot there. We do buy them out, and you know, it is what it is. It's just the way it is. And I think that Key's been changing he's changed the culture over there. He's a great coach. You said it earlier. He really is a good coach, and they got some nice players. But I think they're going to realize that we're like our second home is in the Benz, man. So
That's right.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
I remember us going to that game one time and hanging out with Lane and Gary.
Yeah.
They didn't go to the game, but you and I did. You remember that? And then late night,
Yes.
everybody had dispersed. We're in there on the field trying to kick field goals.
Yeah, that's the only college stadium I know of that they let you break into and kick field goals. We were out there kicking field goals, had all our Georgia gear on, tech people just hanging around with us like they didn't even care. You wouldn't
Yeah,
get away with that at Sanford Stadium.
no, sir. No, sir. Clark County Police will be on you in a heartbeat.
All right. Well, good deal. Kevin, I really appreciate you coming on with me, man. It's good to see you again
Yeah, man.
here in person. I know we had a lot of fun times in Athens together, sort of on different sides of the state now, but it's always fun to watch you on the show. So I appreciate you coming on and being the panel guest picker with me on my
Yes, sir.
first time covering for Tony here.
You did a great job, brother.
All right. Well, from everybody, from me here in and Kevin now from in Georgia, and Jake Barton coming to us from Noonan as our producer here. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Talking with Tony when Tony will join you next week. Have a good one.
All right.